Generosity is giving what you can't afford to give, doing something above and beyond what makes you comfortable.
Welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast, a Ben Kinney training production. On this podcast, we will be discussing the concepts of health, wealth, leadership, and legacy. My name is Chad Himes. I have the pleasure of being one of your hosts during this podcast, and I'm joined here today by my co-host, Bob Stewart. Bob, how are you doing today?
Pretty good, Chad.
All right. I'm fantastic, Bob. Thanks for asking. Bob, give us the word of the day.
Today's word is purpose.
Tell me a little bit more about that as we get into this conversation.
So I think as I listened to this conversation that you had with Ben around giving, a lot of the examples, a lot of the things he brought up, the reason why giving was even important to him from a young age seemed to have to do with like this sense of purpose. He tells stories of other people where they gave in an area where they really found purpose and meaning in that area. So just as you listen to this conversation today, like, you know, try to think about giving from the perspective of like, what is your purpose or what gives you meaning?
All right. I had the opportunity to talk with Ben about giving, so let's jump to that conversation. Ben, on the past few episodes, plus, well, anybody who has any conversation with you, you use the terms models and systems regularly. Talk a little bit about that. What do models and systems mean? What's the power behind those?
John Maxwell, leadership author, right, a very famous individual, he said once that systems make the ordinary extraordinary. I thought to myself, I said, I'm pretty ordinary, right? I'm just like a regular old guy, right? What if I could add systems to me? Could I be more successful? And that's what I found was the vast majority of our success wasn't me being creative. Well, it was me finding some system, stealing some system or some idea, or creating my own system and model to simplify things so that we could take action. I believe that models and systems are the foundation that guarantee success. If you want to win once, use your talent. If you want to win all the time, come up with a model or a system.
Oh, I like that. That's good. Okay, so you said stealing in there. Let's not use that term. You use the term R&D.
Yeah, rip off and duplicate.
Right, and we'll have a whole episode about R&Ding things. Okay, so you talk about models, you talk about systems. We've already looked at Win, Make, Give that you created. We talked about winning, we've talked about making, and in episode 1, in episode 2, in episode 3, you constantly have this word giving still keep coming out of there. I gotta guess there's a model you have for giving.
Yeah, we believe giving is the key to our success. The more we give, the more we can receive. It's just a philosophical belief that we stole from somebody, but we understand that the more we give, the more that's going to come into our world. So yeah, absolutely. We try to create a model for everything, and giving is without an exception.
Okay, so before we share the model with everybody that you have, when did you start giving? I mean, did you wake up and one day you were giving? Were you 10 years old and you realized you needed to? When did this start, and where did it go from there?
Yeah. I don't believe that in my life a lot of things were given to me. I remember receiving food from the food bank growing up, and they would drop off the box of food in our part of the world on our doorstep, and I would dig through there trying to find the fruit cocktail, but most of it was junk. It was like freaking black olives and canned asparagus and peas. You know, it's nothing that a kid wants. No. And what I realized that they were giving whatever they had extra of or whatever they didn't need. And I had this idea back then that that's not generosity. Generosity is giving what you can't afford to give. Generosity is giving your last dollar and borrowing another dollar, right? Generosity is not helping your family or helping your best friend. Generosity is giving $1 to your enemy. That is truly what being generous and what giving is, right? Is doing something above and beyond what makes you comfortable. And since a lot of things weren't given to me, the very first gift that I received was I received a couple of very affordable, not high dollar scholarships, like a $500 scholarship or a $1,000 scholarship from a few different organizations that helped me get started in community college, and it got me through a quarter or two. It was $1,500 a quarter back then to go to community college, and that was the first gift that had ever been given to me. And I remember when I got that, I thought to myself, if I ever make it, if I ever figure this out, if I ever start making money, I'm going to go back and I'm going to write a check, and I'm going to give a scholarship back to the same school. And it took me a couple of years, but I was able to go back there, and I gave away that $500 scholarship, and I gave away that $1,000 scholarship, and it made me feel so good. It felt better than winning that scholarship the first time. Me writing a check for $1,000 and giving it to some kid who needed that hand to go and to get out of Granite Falls, Washington, and go to their own school, it gave me so much of a reward. I didn't realize how good it felt because so few things had ever been given to me. It took me experiencing that to realize that giving is also a little bit selfish, because it makes you feel good, and a lot of things come back to you, right?
Sure.
And it gives you that purpose. And we talked about on episode 1 about over time you're going to make enough money that you're going to need something greater than money to give yourself purpose,
right,
to push you a little bit further. So yeah,
okay,
that was the first time that I experienced giving, was giving that scholarship back to the school where I had gotten my first scholarship to go to community college.
it's an awesome way to give it, and awesome group to give it back to. In that sense, meant something to you. It wasn't just money you were just giving away. You've got the model, so let's hear the model for giving.
You know, I started teaching a class with a good friend of mine, Jay Papasan. He's the author of the New York Times best-selling book, The One Thing, and The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and The Millionaire Investor, and hopefully somebody will have on our podcast at some point to share with us. Jay and I sat down, and we were teaching a class about giving, and we wanted to be an example of making $1 million, netting $1 million, and then giving $1 million back, and helping people getting on that path and that journey to be able to give something. And we said, well, what if somebody didn't have any money? What would they start with? And then where would they move up to? So we came up with a model. And the first step in giving for us was simple. Let's just give our gratitude. If we're going to go through the day and we had nothing else to give, but we could walk by somebody and said, hey, I just really appreciate you. Thanks for all your hard work. Or thanks for always being kind to me. Or thanks for thinking of me, or thanks for holding the door, or give somebody a compliment. If that's all I have, that could still change somebody's day.
Sure could.
Right? And that's step 1. If you have nothing to give your kindness, give your gratitude, right? And then if you're able to move up to the next level, number 2 is give your time. Okay. So if you don't have any money to give, volunteer. We volunteer at the food bank and sort vegetables and sort cans, or volunteer at...
Hang on. Do you find the fruit cocktail ones now?
Well, now they require all those cans to have labels on them.
Yeah.
Back when I was a kid, they didn't have
You had to work
labels.
for it.
You had to shake them to figure out what was inside. The food banks today are stepping up their game. They're pretty phenomenal.
So you're giving time would be number 2 in here, by donating your time somewhere.
If you don't have money and you can find some time, whether it's an hour a week or 4 hours a month or an hour a day or whatever, just donate your time, right?
Okay.
Teach a class.
Help the neighbor.
Help a neighbor. Do something. I remember when I didn't have a lot of money, I volunteered for a Habitat for Humanity organization, and I helped dig a septic tank hole. I didn't have the money to give, but I had a strong back then, and I had time and I had the energy, so I dug a septic tank hole, right? And I was able to give. Well, over time, as you grow and you learn our lessons that we talk about, and you start winning more and you start making more, the next level of giving is give your money.
Okay.
And I learned this in my first real self-employed business where I was selling real estate. Somebody challenged me to donate money every time I sold a home. So I said, all right, I'll give $25 every time I sell a home to this organization that helps other real estate professionals get back on track, or if they're having an emergency, natural disaster, health, something like that. And then I said, I'm going to give another $25 to this other organization. And at the end of the year, by the time it was all said and done, I didn't feel that I gave anything away. My bank account didn't feel it. But when you added it all up, it was actually a lot. And what I did is I just never changed it. So fast forward 5 or 10 years later, I'm giving 100 or 1,000 times more money away, but it's still coming out in the same increment every time that you do
And you don't even notice
sales.
it.
You don't even notice it, right? Give $50 on every paycheck, or give $20 on every sale, or give $100 a month. Just make it automatic, just a little bit of money.
Okay.
So as we go through the model, as we give gratitude, we give time, and we give money.
And I think that's interesting right there, just to stop and say, wait a minute, you're going on, there's more. I know there's more coming. And number 3 is money, and most people would think money would be the pinnacle. That would have been the top of how can I give? Is it, well, I can just give money, but you're going to tell us that there's ways that go even beyond just giving money sometimes.
These are actually the least impactful. As you go down, you become the most impactful. Number 4 is you give your leadership. As you learn to run an organization, whatever role you are, if you're in IT or you're in management or you're in marketing or social media or whatever, give your leadership. These organizations need people that can help them strategically make decisions to improve their world, whether it's helping them on marketing or raising money or whatever. You can make way more impact by bringing your skills to the table and offering your leadership and your knowledge than you could by even giving your own money. Number 4.
Okay.
Number 5, I think, is the ultimate. Number 5 is the amount of money that we can give personally will never be equal to the amount of money that could be raised by teaching other people to give. Go back to that scholarship story that I shared.
Sure.
I remember going there one year, and I brought a friend with me, somebody that had graduated from the same school. I said, we're going to give away 2 scholarships tonight, and I'm going to give away the first one, and you're going to go up there and read this, and you're going to give away the second one. And all of it was my money. So I brought the person with me, and I went up there, and I gave away the first scholarship, and he went up there after me, and he gave away the second scholarship. But before he came up there, I said, by the way, this next scholarship is being given by another graduate that graduated from this school, a very generous individual that would love to give back, just as this school, right, had given to us. And I welcomed him up there. Well, he gave the scholarship away, and we were driving away that night, and he said, that felt really good. It was my money that he gave away, right? But he said, I'd never done anything like that before. Nobody's ever done anything for me. That felt really good to do that. And he said, next year, I want to do this again, but it's going to be my money.
Okay.
So I was no longer giving away 2 $500 scholarships or whatever it was. I was giving away my money, and he was showing up and he was giving away his money.
Right.
And it started to grow. And I started to realize that my ability to make an impact in the world is by teaching people how good it feels to give, and how good it feels to give in addition to what they're comfortable with, and how good it is to feel to give to somebody, even their enemy, right? And to get that feeling, because once they get that feeling, they'll become addicted to it, and they're going to start making an impact, and they're going to teach somebody else how to give. And over time, we're going to wake up. That's why at our events, we give the proceeds of our events to charity. I'm teaching other people to walk in the same path as us, and that we aren't doing this for money. We're doing this to make an impact. And then they see the checks we hand away, and they wake up and say, oh, this makes sense. This is pretty cool what this company is doing. Now, I'm no Mother Teresa. People in that audience walk up afterwards, and they say, I want to work at a company like that. Right? I want to partner with somebody like you. Like, you have the same values as me. And it ends up growing everything around us. The only last thing I was at, and that completes the giving model that Jay and I wrote,
Okay.
levels 1 through 5, gratitude, time, money, leadership, teaching others to give, is I challenge you guys. I challenge us, the last thing that we can do is to give our forgiveness. Forgiveness is something that we do for ourselves. It's something that we give to people that don't necessarily deserve it. But we tend to think that in order for us to forgive somebody, they have to apologize. They're looking for a quid pro quo relationship.
Sure.
That's not generosity. Generosity is calling somebody up and saying, Mom, I forgive you. Dad, ex, friend, past employee, neighbor, hey, I just want to let you know that I forgive you, and we're good. And you're allowing that person to stop taking from your heart and taking from your mind so that you can move on. So I challenge you guys to pick up the phone and call somebody and say, hey, in the past, I know things had happened between us, and I just want to apologize for whatever part I had in that. And it doesn't matter what they say back. It doesn't matter if they say screw you or whatever. It was your fault. It doesn't matter. You're letting go, and you're giving that forgiveness away, and you're making room in your life for new, better people, so that you can take advantage of the feelings and benefits of giving. Now, we talked for the last couple episodes about win, make, give, about winning, living up to our potential, making and building wealth, and giving. And because we want to do good. The following episodes are going to be us diving into things like health, wealth, leadership, legacy, more models, systems, interviews, and conversations between all us about all the subjects we've discussed in the first 4 episodes. So I hope everybody joins us and continues to listen and reaches out to us and let us know what messages are most impactful. What did they actually implement? What are they going to do? What's changed? And what really grabbed them?
I know it's going to be a fantastic journey we're about to go on with everybody, with you leading the way, Ben, with these wonderful messages that you've been sharing, the models today, the models on the last few episodes, and the models that are still yet to come. So looking forward to sharing some more.
Yeah, let's win, make, give.
And do good.
And do good.
All right. And there he goes again.
Yep.
Does it again, right? I mean, it's get this guy an at-bat, and he's going to knock it out of the park every time by taking these terms and then making it easy for us all to understand. Bob, I had my aha talking to Ben while I was having that conversation. What was it that you heard listening to the conversation this time?
I think the biggest thing for me was this idea that, because most people think if I'm going to give, I'm going to make a donation, I'm going to do it with money, right? Like I've got an extra $100 that I'm willing to give to somebody, but when he breaks it down and makes you realize, like, every single one of us can give in some way. Every single one of us. And so it makes you realize, I mean, in some ways it makes me realize, I need to give more, right? But it's just the idea that, like, I don't have to have a certain amount of money in the bank or a certain amount of comfort in my life before I start giving. In fact, he talks about generosity being giving when you don't have that thing to give. So we all have something we could give is what I took away from that.
Yeah, and to me, Bob, it's that yet again, Ben has a model and a system to make this all happen. He's not thinking about it. It was just, this is the model, this is the system to make giving a part of his world.
This one of the things about, like, the model and the system, I think, like, if I didn't know Ben, I didn't know anything, or maybe I was just kind of coming in off the street, you think, like, a model and a system for giving, that feels kind of cold, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is it's efficient.
Yeah.
He's able to give at a higher scale because he's created a system or a model around it, and he's made himself efficient in his giving. So, yeah, I mean, this guy, you could give him, like, anything. I think he'd turn into a system or a model, but yeah, it's amazing.
It is. All right. So there you go. Make sure you're subscribing wherever it is that you get podcasts from. And if you can't find us anywhere, go check out winmakegive.com. Thank you, Bob. You can always find on the website the link to be able to find these videos, the podcast episodes, for you to be able to stay in touch with us. Make sure you're sharing online. Give us your thoughts, your feelings, your questions you want us to talk to Ben about. And until then, go out there and remember, do good.